So I was born in 1962, and according to most demographic things that you read, that puts me in the end of the baby boomers, and I really don't feel comfortable about being typecast into a generation and all of the baggage that comes with that. However, I reckon I'm actually the sandwich generation, where I have older family members like my mother-in-law to look after and still have a teenager at home like my 17-year-old son, Matt. That's it. You can... I think you might be a sandwich generation person too, Heather, are you?
Well, I live in Denmark, so I guess I'm more of a Danish kind of open sandwich, a small.
Danish. I love that. Okay, so what is your first piece of random shit to share with us?
Well, I'm British, but I haven't always lived in Denmark. I've lived here for 19 years, but prior to that, I've lived all over the world. And the first postings abroad was in France in the early 90s, and I moved to Paris. I fled because I'd got a difficult boyfriend, and I arrived at the Gare du Nord. I didn't really know anybody apart from one Frenchman who used to wear a little bit of makeup. I wasn't in with a chance with this guy, but he was a lovely man. And there he was at the Gare du Nord with a funny van full of pebbles and it looked like stolen goods in the back. But never mind, I'd got somewhere to go that night. And he drove me to a beautiful apartment in the 7th arrondissement and served me a perfect avocado with some fruity olive oil and some tasty salad leaves and a glass of puy fumé. I was in heaven, and showed me around the apartment. It was all very grand, just off the Boulevard Saint-Germain. And we had a lovely evening, and would you like a bubble bath? So I said, yes, I hadn't had a bath for years. It's great to have a bath. So I poured all these precious oils into the steaming water from the golden faucets, and I lay back into the bath. He wasn't in the room at the time, and just, God, thank God, I've arrived, if my friends could see me now. And then, so I went to bed, a lovely canopy, 4-poster bed. I thought, God, this is amazing. I have truly and utterly landed in the life that I was meant to have. And I fell asleep. And then in about, it must have been a couple of hours later, there was on the door. Well, that's going to get the dog barking. And then a lot of muttering and angry voices. And a knock came on my door, and, I am so sorry, but we must leave. And I put some clothes on, went out, and there was a very, very angry little man and his lover. And it wasn't Jean-Jacques' apartment. And I should change his name.
To protect the innocent.
Left in the shitty van, and I stayed in a cheap hotel room with stiletto sort of heel marks on the wall. It was, oh my God, and on carpet on the wall, very, very French. And that was the start of my time in Paris. And I lived like a fool. I found an apartment next to Jean-Jacques. I should call him Jean-Paul. And we exchanged keys for security reasons. He was a compulsive liar, this man, but he was the only person that I knew. It's called a métaux in French. And anyway, he lent me all this fancy furniture. He lent me everything. I just arrived with my clothes, a towel, knife and fork, and my passport. And then one day we fell out. I got sick of his lying. And he arrived one day and took everything. He took my bed, he took my cups, he took the whole caboodle. So I had to look in skips because I had no money for my la vie en rose, for my all my living things. And I found spoon, a plate, a cup, a bed. But don't tell everyone. But that's over now. And I found this, which is it's like a phrase book.
Oh, fabulous!
It's pre-First World War, and it's been with me ever since. And it's brilliant because it's like a time traveller. It's got such phrases as. My car has broken down about 2.5 miles from here. Can you send a horse to tow her out?
Oh, that's fabulous.
Which is perfect. It just takes you back. You know, they would have been there with their tied-on bonnets and goggles and doing some motoring. And then, God knows how they would have leafed through this because the print's so small.
It is, isn't it?
If you're in a stressful situation, you'd have to put your monocle in or something. But another one was, I'm very sorry to have killed your dog. I did my best to avoid it. It's brilliant. And just one last one was, hang on. Oh, aren't animal heads fashionable? Which is, which it means for umbrellas. It was the top of the
top of the umbrella.
Yeah,
I love it. That's so funny.
Yeah. So
That's
that was
hilarious.
that. I haven't got any of the shit that I found in the skip anymore, but apart from this.
And have you used it? Do you actually use it?
This? No, never.
No, never. It was just a curiosity.
Yeah, it was. It's lovely. I'll never get rid of it. Last night I was Googling to see, is it worth anything?
Oh, yeah. They never are.
No, about £5, British pounds.
Yeah.
But, which is such a shame because it's such a treasure.
But would you sell it if it was worth something?
No.
There you go. So it doesn't matter, does it?
Yes.
Now, I said before that I consider myself to be in the sandwich generation, and that's because I have my mother-in-law who's 91 living down the road, and I still have a 17-year-old in the house, and we drink a lot of coffee, and I love coffee. I kind of go through phases, sometimes I drink it every day, and then other times I go, I'm not drinking coffee anymore, I'm going to give it a break. But what I have, a couple of, I don't know, it must have been just before Mother's Day, Matt says to me, oh, Mum, would you like a coffee machine? Maybe we should get a coffee machine. What do you think about getting a coffee machine? And I said, Matt, I don't need a coffee machine. Seriously, we have very limited bench space. I don't need a coffee machine. Mother's Day rolls around and I get a coffee machine. And he proudly tells me, and I am proud of this because clearly he has listened to us over the years, it's secondhand, so that's a plus, and it only costs $25, which is another plus. Oh, sorry, $15. Oops. See, I've just inflated the value of it. Such a treasure it is in my life. So $15 secondhand, and he just got it locally. And I love it because it's secondhand and it only costs $15, and Matt bought it for me. And however, we discovered pretty quickly the reason why the woman
watching it, yeah.
was getting rid of it, and that's because it leaks water everywhere over the bench. So we don't use it too much. Yes, he's apologising, but that's okay. You know, it's fun. Now, Heather, what's your second piece of random shit?
Oh, well, this isn't shit. This is,
Rich?
Right, rich, I wish. It's called rice pudding in a duvet. It's, look, there she is.
Oh, that's
it's
the author. That's you.
Yes, and things that I've discussed about this little book, and also there's a story of my time when I lived in Australia, in Brisbane, a few years ago with my family, and it's stories inspired by recipes.
Oh, wonderful!
And the title, it comes from a Danish dish called it's the way to make it. It's called rice pudding in a duvet, and there's nothing sexy about it.
Duvets are not sexy.
No, and by the way, they call them doona in Denmark, same as in Australia.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah. Strange that.
It is strange.
But so I won't give away why the rice pudding in a duvet, because you'll have to read it. But buy it, Amazon. But there's also there's a chapter on Australia, chapter 19, page 113, and it's called The Great Australian Bite.
Oh, yes.
Tasty recipe inspired by my great love for your country, which I'd like to live there.
Well, you could probably come one day when we open our borders again.
Yes, I know. I've got to wait, but meanwhile, I've got a few books.
Do you know what, Heather? That's impressive, but I have thousands of my cookbook in storage.
Plug away. What's your?
How many thousands do you have?
Well, not thousands, but it's print on demand on Amazon.
I know. See, that's the beauty of it these days, is that you can just do print on demand and it works. When we did our book, it was go to the printer and have them all printed.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, but I just keep spamming my friends to buy everything. You know, it's like an online Tupperware party on Facebook.
It's not an easy thing to do, is
people.
it?
Sorry?
It's not an easy thing to do, to sell books.
No, it's dreadful, and every comment that you make on social media, it's barbed, you know, sort of, buy my book, you know, you can't say anything straight.
I know.
It's tough, so that's why, you know, you've got thousands in your basement.
Well, having said that, we did sell 10,000 books. So, you know, we did pretty well.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So, what led you to write a book? Why did you do it?
Well, I can't help it. I've always written. I'm a half very extrovert, half incredibly introvert. So being a writer, it's a good marriage of both things. And I love to cook. And if there's one thing, I guess, that would define me, probably not the best thing to be in these lockdown times, is that I love to travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it all came together in a book.
Yeah. So tell me, do you have a favourite dish? What's your favourite dish?
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah. Okay, you think about it.
Well, I'm going to say...
No, you think about it.
It has to be rice pudding in a duvet. Plug.
Well, I guess it does, because that's what you called your book. All right, now I'm going to... Sorry?
No, it's all right.
Okay. I'm going to share my second piece of random shit, and just following on the sandwich generation theme, I've got this coffee pot. It's an electric coffee pot that it still belongs to my mother-in-law, because I've only just we've just borrowed it for the time being. But it's this beautiful thing, which has been so well used over the years. However, I never really liked the coffee that came out of it. It's just, we've got lots of different ways. I've got a thermos here. We used to make coffee in a thermos. And then we used, plungers. Everyone uses plungers. But now we use this, I don't know, where can you see that? Over here. Sorry, hang on a second. I'm just moving. So this is our preferred coffee making appliance now, just the stovetop thing. But you can end up with so many bloody coffee pots. Well, not everyone does, but I certainly have ended up with a lot of coffee pots. So there you go. I love coffee, and I've got a lot of coffee pots. So rice in a duvet is your favourite dish. Is it actually a dish, or is it just a play on words?
It's not rice, it's rice pudding.
Oh, okay.
It's a method. It's all right, I'll tell you.
Tell us.
You heat,
Yeah.
You heat the rice and the milk in a big old pan.
Yep.
And then you make sure the kids are out of the way, and then you put it in the bedroom and wrap it in a duvet with a lid on, and then you tell everybody stay away. And then this boiling pan of rice pudding, it cooks. It's like a hay box.
Ah, yes.
Gently, and it's perfect. And the Danes have been doing this method for centuries. It's probably not very hygienic. It's not American. What's a bit of muck.
Yeah, what's a bit of muck?
Between friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah, adds to the flavour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
but
fantastic.
It's not my favourite recipe. I'm just plugging the book.
Yeah, I get that. Oh, look, shameless self-promotion is something I advocate, and I've been doing it for years, which is why I have my own show, because it's all about shameless self-promotion, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'm learning, Robin.
I did a workshop
all my friends, yes.
Yeah, that's it. I did a workshop many, many years ago with a fellow called Sandy McCutcheon, who was an Australian broadcaster, and the workshop was on how to be a media tart, and I passed. It was the funniest thing. I suggest that everyone who needs to promote something becomes a media tart. It works.
Yeah.
All right. Now, one last thing, and the viewer can check this out, is TikTok. So it's a thing, and I'm aware of it, but I've never watched anything on it, except when it comes up on a random news feed. But you told me that our mutual friend Claire Smith has a following, and I looked, and she has 11,000 followers on TikTok. That's hilarious.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And she's doing this granny, Claire, granny, what's it called? Granny something. I can't remember it. Poopers, granny poopers or something like that. You'll have to check it out. Oh, yeah. So you've got the thing. Show me. Show me the thing. That's it. Grandma. Move it to your right. Grandma. Keep going to the right. Grandma Poopsie.
Popsy.
Oh, Popsy.
Poopsie.
Sorry, Claire.
Is that right, Claire? She's there in the chat, isn't she?
Oh, is she online
she'll
too?
put a link in, but it's hilarious, and she's showing the younger generation what it is to be a comedian.
Yeah, okay, and an old person.
She's not that old. She's a sandwich generation.
That's right, just like us. All right, Heather, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm going to go and watch a bit more Grandma. I think it's Poopsie. Is it Poopsie or Popsy?
She'll Popsy, double P. I spelt it wrong.
Oh, double
Grandma
O. It's
underscore
Poopsie.
Popsy with two P's.
Oh, two
There's no
P's.
poop. There's no poop.
All right. I got my O's and my P's mixed up. I'll just check it out a bit later. Thanks, Heather. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Oops, sorry, Claire. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I think we'll be back on Thursday afternoon. I'll see you then.
That was fun.
That was fun. What a great
Well,
story.
thank you.
So whose apartment was it?
In Paris.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like a nasty French diplomat, and he came back with this glassy-eyed gigolo. For a bit of "How's your father?" and I was in their bed. Oh, it was awful, and Jean-Jacques went scurrying. He went scurrying out like a, Oh, it was. I should have known. But that I realised that was why I should have said I was a writer, because I've done so many fucking stupid things.
As you would, yeah, I love that.